things aren't as easy as they used to be. At least not for me. I don't know. Come have some coffee this morning with me. Drive to the grind in Jefferson City. Bump up and down, bump and down. There's my intro music. Alright, let's get with it. Why do I suck so bad at fishing? The water temp at Lake of the Ozarks has gotten up to 54. I thought last night I was going to wreck them. I put the boat in about 5:30. I fished till dark, which is now 7 o'clock-ish. Nice breeze on the water. Fishing in a t-shirt. March the 14th or whatever today is. I can't believe I can't just start smoking the fish. But it just goes to show that no matter if we're having an early spring or you think the fish should be up there because of the water temperature, how much those daylight hours and everything really matters to the fish. They're going, it's not April yet. Just hold your horses, boys. Now, are their fish shallow? Definitely. Definitely, but it seems like they get shallow when they follow the shad into pockets. You might be in the main lake, but most of the pockets that they're following the shad in are in a creek, and they could be the first third, middle third, or back of the creek, depending on where the shad are. So anytime I'm getting bit, I'm idling in somewhere and I run into the shad. Shad are out in the middle of the coves. Shad are up on the bank. Some are the little gizzards. Some are the big gizzards. When you find the big gizzards, you have found gold. So then how do you catch them? Mostly talking bass at the moment, so how do you catch these bass? Well, it seems like the guys that are finding those ingredients, you got shad moving into a secondary point, you just might happen to have a brush pile about 15 foot deep. Depending on where you're at, you might have a channel swing that's 25 or 30 feet deep. Depending on where you are in the lake, you might be way up the river, or you might be way up a creek, and those fish might be in a ditch with the shad in 3 or 4 feet of water. And what's the water clarity look like? What color is it? Is it still clear? Or is it dirty? Is it stained? We've got a lot of rain that's came into the lake about 4 or 5 days ago. We got a lot of rain, so the back of the creeks got muddied up a little bit. That being said, we've got a lot of back ends that have flow. We've got a lot of back ends that don't have any flow. So, on any given day, I'll give you an example. If you go in the Gravois and you have Soap Creek, you go up in Soap, it's pretty clear at the mouth of it. You go in the back, you start to see that churn of that muddy water coming in. Right on that edge is a pretty damn good place to catch some fish right now. You can catch them shallow, catch them on a chatterbait or spinnerbait. If the water temp's still clear, then you could probably catch them right out. Probably catch them in the clear water on a jerkbait. It seems like the bigger fish are still out in the middle. Maybe hold up on a brush pile. Maybe being pelagic and following underneath the shad. Some of the fish can be caught up on the rocks, dragging the chompers, throwing your small finesse jigs, throwing a football jig. So it's kind of like whatever you're comfortable doing. If you want to throw that spinnerbait, get it up in some dirty water. The problem with the spinnerbait is you get through 4 good bites, maybe, but they'd probably be short fish or bucks coming in. Then you pull into a pocket, throw them down the middle of the gut, catch a 4-pounder, catch a 5-pounder. Then you think you're locked in. Then you think you're dialed. You're excited and you think you can run that pattern all over the lake. It's not that easy. Not that easy for me. It's right on the verge of that happening, and if you time it right at the right area, somebody's going to catch a huge sack doing that. But right now, it's just not consistent enough for me. Now, I didn't try that last night, but this past weekend we fished the TBF, the Missouri V Bass Federation, and my practice was good enough to get the clues to where I could see that I could catch some fish on an A-rig pretty consistently. But the problem was they weren't staying put. So you might find shad in the middle of a creek. They might be on a channel swing. They might be on a transition bank, mostly out in front of docks. Water temp really didn't matter, but a lot of the fish were out in that 20-foot range, and as you gradually got back into the creeks, you catch them 12, 15, 16, and they were moving big time. So some of them would get set up on brush, and kind of depending on where the brush was, they didn't care if they were out in 30 or if they were up at 10. So it's kind of really hard to pinpoint that pattern. So you just had to go fishing. And I caught a lot of fish on a jerkbait, but they were all short. I know that a lot of people are catching checks on an A-rig, but it just hasn't been that easy for me. I can't get the A-rig dialed in to where it's just really, really consistent for me. I think all weekend I should have just kept the A-rig in my hand. And a lot of the A-riggers are going to go, yeah, duh, you should just keep throwing that. But I just kept throwing different things because I'd throw it for so long and not get a good bite on it. And search for good piles to throw it over, good docks to throw it beside, and then making sure that I was around the shad. And my co-angler on Saturday started catching them on a chatterbait, so that threw me off. I started throwing a chatterbait a little bit, catching them. They're all short, but a lot of fish over 14 inches. So as tough as it was, I knew that if I got a limit of 15-inch bucks, that would have did me really good. So I stuck a lot of things in my hand longer than I should have, when I should have just stayed with the A-rig. But that's fishing, you know. I can't tell you what area of the lake is the best right now. The water temperature's warmer now, but last weekend it was anywhere from 48 to 50. If you went into the dirty water in the glaze, or I got reports that people were going into the Nang one. The water was 50 to 52. And I never went to the Nang. It was last Monday. I pre-fished up the river and didn't do very well at all. That was way up around the 46. Basically from Cartwright down to bare bottoms. And I checked around Tantera, checked Crabtree, all those kind of coves where just to check to see if there was a better bite somewhere. I never ran into it on Monday. Water temp was still pretty cold at that point. So when the tournament started, I kind of stuck with where's the best water clarity, and the best water clarity, it's funny, it's in the glaze from PB2 to Park Place, Pin Oak Cove is the best water clarity, and then you get out of there, go on the main lake towards the toll bridge, and it gets stained up again, but it's still clear enough to definitely A-rig or jerkbait, do whatever you want to, all the way up to the dam. Then the dam gets murkier in the main lake, and you get up in the mouth of the Gravois, and it clears up again, real clear. So the clearest is definitely in the mouth of the Gravois, but you definitely have a lot of good water clarity all over the lake to where the entire lake was open for cold water fishing. But with the inflow of dirty water, there was fish in that dirty water, but they didn't bite very good until the end of the day, for me anyway. And when I say for me, I obviously didn't catch them very good in that TBF. I was sitting in 4th or 5th on day one, and I only had over 9 pounds. And then on day 2, I only brought in 1 keeper. I got a clue early in the morning, caught a keeper on an A-rig early. Should have stayed with that, and I wound up chasing the dirty water fish with the spinnerbait because I caught a 440 something on Saturday on the spinnerbait, and then 1 over 3 on the spinnerbait in that dirty water around shad. So I gambled with that. I knew I needed a big stringer, so bringing in another 10 pounds actually could have got me a check. Hindsight, being it that tough on us with the water being very inconsistent with a lot of boats on the water, with other tournaments going on. I still didn't expect the weights to be that low, but they were. So I should have been a little bit more conservative and stayed around Shawnee Bend boat ramp. That's where we went out of. But I wanted to go to the glaze and check it out because I knew that with the water clarity there, I could still A-rig if I wanted. I could A-rig my brush piles, and then I could go check that spinnerbait bite in the dirty water. So as you made it to Army Wreck and the glaze, the water got dirty. So I fished the Army Wreck really good, and I caught 1 fish. He was a big old chunky 14 and a half. I mean, or it's bigger than that. It's real close to 15 inches, but not 15. But that's the only bite I got in there. So I blasted out of there. I went over to Patterson. Second cast, boom, another chunky one. Like, all right, let's try to make this work. And this is getting late in the day. Right before that, I checked a bunch of piles with an A-rig, and everything I caught was short. But that A-rig was still working, so I'm like, dang it. So I don't know why, but I wanted to take that gamble and go throw the spinnerbait. I just know what can happen. right stretch, you catch 25 pounds. I mean, within 10 minutes. It can get stupid crazy fast. And I knew I needed that to win the tournament. Because I don't know who qualifies, maybe the top 3, but I know to get up there in the top 3, I need a big bag. So I did that. And I swapped the jig out a little bit, the chatterbait a little bit, wiggle wort a little bit, but mostly a big spinnerbait. I've been alternating between a 1/2 ounce and a 3/4. Mostly Indiana blade with a small Colorado from Blue Rock Customs, and it is catching fish and it's a lot of fun, but I didn't get those keeper bites to do well in the tournament. So anyway, when you got in that dirty water, the water temp was about 52, so I felt like this is the warmest water I've found. The water wasn't chocolate milk, it was just that good stain, and the very, very backs it was clearing up already, and that normally is a mixture for getting your rod ripped out of your hand and or shad and everything. So I don't know if I wasn't presenting the bait right. I was also fishing the guts and the ditches. I wasn't just flying down the bank. I did fish a lot of fluffy rock. Anyway, so all in all, even though I only brought in one keeper on Sunday, I felt like I fished really good. I felt like I made the right moves to win, and I just didn't connect. So I feel good about it. I am disappointed, but that's fishing. It seems like I'm having a lot better practices than I am tournaments, and I'm just not in a groove. I'm in a slump. Put the money down, and I don't know why that is, but anyway, the crappie, I would say, have been getting worse. I crappie fished a little last night. It's like they want to bump the bait and not take it. I didn't find any of those crappie that were all alone in the open water that I could jerk bait. I had to try to catch them out of the piles. Seems like they're on the move also, and they have all of a sudden gotten a very finicky mood. On Monday, I fished for crappie up the river, up towards the 60-mile marker, and I thought I was going to absolutely smash them, and I was 100% around big groups of crappie. I think the bigger groups that I find, if you shine under a dock with your live scope and there's just hundreds and thousands of them in there, it's almost worse. It's like you need to find that little covey, that little group that's by themselves, to where you can catch 3 or 4 out of them max, and then move on to another place that's like that. And they are also on the move. So if you find a big wad of shad that's in a pocket and they're kind of just circling, swimming, circling, and they're making their way shallower and shallower, there's crappie and bass that are following them. So you can pick off 1 or 2 if you hit them in the head with a little tiny, like a 2.8 Kitech, or a grub, or if you just hit them on the head with your crappie jig. But up there, the water clarity is a little too dirty for a jerkbait. I have tried it a little bit, but I do way better on my jigs up there. But you really got to hit them in the head, and when they're moving, they are hard to catch. They've been in a negative mood. I don't know if it's because they shut the water on, or turn the water on and then shut it off. So I don't know what's putting them in a bad mood, but they have been. And I would say the crappie fishing has been poor for me on Monday, and then last evening on this Wednesday night on March 14th. So you have to time it right. You just got to keep pushing and trying. So my report's pretty crappy right now. No crappy. It's a crappy report. So I don't know. It's about to blow wide open. I mean, turkeys are already strutting. You know, trees are blooming. I mean, we're right there. I don't want it to just turn on and fast forward and be summertime already. So it's the best time of the year for me. But I think as we get closer to April, the better and better. So, but we're here. We're in the spring, and you know, we're not. I didn't have a frozen deck of the boat on Sunday morning, but I think those days are over. So I've been proven wrong on that. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's the fishing report. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, email me, jared.h.shelton@gmail. I'm all over social media. JAROD, JRod Shelton. See ya.